Cinderella stories don't happen often in the sport of MMA. Oftentimes, we watch our favorite legends of the game get taken out of fashion in a cruel way, in a violent way, or often they really just disappear into the ether. However, historic moments can't happen unless an opportunity presents itself. And today, folks, UFC 301 presents a couple different opportunities for legendary moments to occur. What's going on? My name is Derick G, and welcome back to another episode of the Bloody Water Podcast. Today, we're going to be breaking down the UFC Men's Flyweight Championship between Alexandre Pantoja and UFC newcomer Steve Erceg, as well as the King of Rio making his return. That's right, folks. Jose Aldo, the former featherweight champion, stepping back into the octagon for the final time, facing off against Jonathan Martinez, and we got a lot to break down. But of course, I cannot do it without my co-host, the Santa Fe Bomber, the New Mexico native, AJ. Historic moments. These are when these Cinderella stories happen. Excuse me, I just need to know, what are your thoughts going into UFC 301, brother?
Man, I'm excited because this is a shift up, Derick. Some may say it's a light division, but this is an opportunity for Steve Erceg to come in here and make a splash, brother. I love a shakeup. I'm excited for these fights.
Not often do you get the number 10 ranked guy in the division come off of a couple victories and say, you know what, let's give you a crack at the title. That's what happens when you have a dominant champion in Alexandre Pantoja. And some might say, what do you mean dominant by Alexandre Pantoja? This is what I mean. Before he got the championship, he was already running through everybody. We just kind of had him as one of those out of sight, out of mind, not as active as we wanted. But now the takeover, it's fully commenced right there. But AJ, Jose Aldo, this is the key. We're going to jump into all of the good stuff for a second, but we cannot start this program without talking about Jose Aldo. He already retired. We already did the retirement party, right? We already did, King Rio is retired, but now he is back. We're going to break it all down. Just give me your sentiments in the sport of MMA about fighters who retire and then come back for that one last dance. How does that often work out?
Woo, one last dance usually ends in a sleep fest, Derick, and it's not something we like seeing. Jose Aldo has been working on his boxing, so we'll see what happens.
That's right. So listen, foreshadowing, you get the gist, folks. All right, let's jump into a breakdown. Let's get straight into it. As you can see, we have some records down here below, and AJ came in a storming fashion this last week. Pause. I know that sounded kind of weird, but AJ, you're back. It's 0-0 game right here, and we got a lot at stake. Whoever wins this week are now leading the dance, but guess what? This thing goes until December. So just remember, folks, we are not only holding ourselves accountable in the sense of, hey, these are our picks, these are our results. This is our accuracy rating on the entire year thus far. 60% plus, you gotta love it. AJ, posters looking fantastic, numbers are looking great in the ball game, but we got to do nothing else but jump into the TLDR. And you know I love to bring up the big screen, brother, so let's bring it up. All right, let's see what we got on deck right here. UFC 301. We have some consensus picks that we're going to break down. We have a couple pieces of contention. We don't talk about anything on this screen, folks. This is your opportunity. Take a screen grab, run to your sports book. Thank us after you go ahead and win a ton of money, because you know that's what the game plan is. But AJ, now I'm going to kick it on over to you as I always do. UFC 301 consensus picks. There's only 3 of them on deck. What is the theme of our consensus picks this week?
The theme this week, Derick, is control, momentum, whatever you want to call it. These guys all have that exact X factor where when you get the ball rolling, it takes that snowball effect, momentum takes over, and they control the entire fight.
Pretty heavy favorites too, if I may add myself, but no worries. Consensus picks, folks. These are our bread and butter right here. This is what the Bloody Water Podcast excels at, so definitely screenshot, go cash those ones in, and let's talk about some prop locks right here. All right, AJ, so for the prop locks, we got 2 of them. I'm gonna start off with yours. You got Oral By versus Brenner. Forgive me, just because it's a tough first name to pronounce, so we're not even gonna go there, but Oral By versus Brenner under 1.5 at plus 115. Plus money. We're both on losing streaks, so we're trying to get right. Just tell the people real quick, what do you like about it?
+1 money. Both of these are plus money at under 1.5 rounds with both of these guys as finishers. Both of them are going to come out trying to make a scene. I like this one. It gives us a good shot at plus 115 odds.
There we go. And I'm going to rock with Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Yasmin Lucindo. Now, this is going to be an interesting play. Over 2.5 rounds is minus 200, which is pretty chalky. Lucindo's a finisher. Kowalkiewicz, not so much. But what everyone is expecting is Lucindo to come in here and just pretty much wax Kowalkiewicz. And I think that veteran intuition, the veteran experience through and through, I think that's going to propel it to a decision. I'm off of 2 losses in a row, folks, so I got to get back right. So, happy hunting. But now, AJ, let's talk about that parlay right here, because the Bloody Water Podcast is looking to hit big plus money across the board. I'll say the first one, you hit the second one. Anthony Smith versus Vitor Petrino over 1.5 rounds. I like that. Plus the Alessandro Costa money line in a, it should be a good fight in his matchup right there, respectively. Plus 161. I like that first leg. AJ, talk to the people for the second.
Next leg up, man, Pereira versus Potieria. Both of these guys, we know the names, man. They're going to come out looking to start this fight fast, start it fun. That's why I'm looking for an under 1.5 round finish from either guy. And then Joe Anderson Brito, man, this guy's on an absolute storm. I don't know how he's going to get the dub, so that's how I'm taking the money line on it. Those combined give us plus 172. I'm liking this weekend, Derek.
I really like the plus money on that second leg too. Brito opened against Jack Shore as a dog and has closed as a favorite. So getting it at plus money, you gotta love it there. Folks, we do our due diligence, we do our research, we do this for you guys. So all of this is simply to say, cash in the picks. We're gonna give you an entire breakdown. And AJ, without any further ado, let's jump straight into it, brother. Let's get it.
Here's to another main card breakdown, courtesy of your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
All right, folks, you know what the drill is. We're going to break down all 5 of the main event fights for UFC 301, and we're going to start at the fight that matters the most, the championship, and work all the way down to the opening bouts. So, before we do that, I cannot let us go without saying we're over 900 strong here in the Bloody Water Podcast Army. We already did a thank you guys the last episode. We love it. We appreciate it. But you know what? We would love more 1,000 subscribers. I really like that nice round number. Let's get over there. We're going to do something special for you. It involves a little bit of merch, not to let the cat out of the bag, but I'm not going to bury my lead. We're going to save that for later. AJ, we're going to touch base on this one later on in the program. So let's just jump into the main card fights, brother. Alexandre Pantoja, he gets Steve Erceg. And some people might be saying the layup of the century right here for Alexandre Pantoja, but I would beg to differ. This is not just any number 10 ranked contender right here. But what's more important, folks, your rule of thumb, all of the odds that you see, not from the props, but from the money line, these are opening lines. We're going to talk to you about the close right here. Not the close, but current line right here. AJ, how do you feel that Alexandre Pantoja opened up as minus 250, plus 205 comeback for Steve Erceg? He is now down to minus 190, plus 160 for Steve Erceg. Number 10 ranked contender, Pantoja has been smashing pretty much every former champion and reasonable contender in his path. What makes Steve Erceg so enticing to the odds makers?
Man, I like these numbers personally, Derek. These minus 250 plus 205 make a lot of sense, especially opening up. But seeing how that money line has shifted, man, I think the odds makers right here might have a little bit of favoritism for the new hot shiny toy. And don't get me wrong, I think Erceg has all the respect respect he's gotten. Right, this dude can perform. I do see where they're coming from. Don't get me wrong. I don't think Steve Erceg is completely out of the fight. But to me, minus 200 or right around there sounds a little bit more like what we should be expecting.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely fair. But Steve Erceg is a little bit of an interesting character, right? Super credentialed, high-level striker, jiu-jitsu black belt, pace he can put on for 5 rounds. These are 125ers, you know what I mean? So it's not a lot of 125ers who are getting gassed out towards the end of the fight. But there's one thing that we have not seen any contender be able to do, and that's stop the brute force and physicality of Alexandre Pantoja. The one X factor, the one intangible, maybe not intangible, but the one factor that seems to just, like, you can't calculate it on paper. I personally feel like Steve Erceg, what makes this so much different than Brandon Royval? You know what I mean? Like, solid striker, sick jiu-jitsu. What makes this matchup so much different? And I think the one major thing that will make it different is I think Steve Erceg is one of the more technical fighters in the flyweight division, which is a difficult thing to say given that at 125, you have to be technical. So where does that technical striking come in to mitigate the just brute force of Alexandre Pantoja?
I think it comes in where both of those X factors we're going to call them, collide, has to be with the range that Steve Erceg is able to control. Like the height and the length that he fights at. A lot of these 125ers, they like to get compact and burst in, very explosive, very athletic. Steve Erceg has this little bit of a longer, taller kind of striking style. And if he can utilize that range and mitigate that brute force that you're talking about, because yeah, Pantoja is scrappy, man. This dude is going to come and try to hurt you consistently. But Steve Erceg, man, he has a very slick 1-2 combo going for him. If he can maintain that length, throw shots down the pipe, things could work for him. The question or the worry that I have, Derek, Steve Erceg likes to put himself in danger to capitalize on those situations. He's hittable. Can Pantoja work with that? I mean, we've seen him do it before.
Steve Erceg is super hittable, but you know who else is super hittable? Excuse me, it's Pantoja himself, bro. But the thing is, Pantoja's a tank, and he walks through him. But that's what interests me. It's funny because that was actually going to be my next question. What do you make of the plus 250 TKO prop for Steve Erceg? In my opinion, what this is, Alexandre Pantoja, brute force, takes him down, controls him for a couple of rounds. We start hitting late round 2, round 3, round 4. And when Pantoja is just trying to walk through you, Erceg is sharp, man, sharp with the strike. So just one right hand down the pipe, I could see him being a timing situation that drops Pantoja, and now we have a TKO option on our play. I don't see a ground and pound TKO here from Steve Erceg. That's not really in the cards for me, but do you like that first situation that I just laid out?
Oh, absolutely, Derek. I mean, it's a little reminiscent of Steve Erceg's last fight with Matt Schnell, right? Pressure's coming in. You hit him with a 1-2 combo, then throw with the left hook that he hasn't seen all fight. Something that catches him not seeing. You end up sleeping him. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but we have seen it. And Alexandre Pantoja likes to fight that same style of fight.
Yeah, man. And if you look at the numbers right here, there is one other thing that is a little bit concerning. If you're looking at flyweight fighters, AJ, 34 years old. Uh-oh, that magic number is creeping up for Pantoja. We say 35 and older. I think 34 might be lumped in. Your record in title fights at like 170 pounds down is like horrendous. But I don't know, man. I feel like Pantoja's a guy where, in my opinion, this is what I'll say. From personal experience, I've been burned so many times betting against Pantoja. It's one of those I need to watch you lose to truly be convinced that you are a beatable fighter because it's been so long. His last loss was Askar Askarov back in 2020. Before that, Davison Figueiredo. You beaten the likes of Matt Schnell. Oh, who knows? Who knew? And he got a TKO victory too, round 1. So he one-upped Steve Erceg right there. Manel Kape decision, Brandon Royval submission, Alex Perez submission, Brandon Moreno decision, and then Brandon Royval decision. I just think that the run is incredible. I think he adds another to the hit list right here, and I think he gets it done by the same method that he took against Brandon Royval and Brandon Moreno, man. Try not to get in the firefight, but if you do, fight like a thug that you are, bro. Stand, trade, bang, be the tank, but more important, you win the rounds by stealing them with control and takedowns, which sucks, which is sad to say because you want to see a banger, but is that not the tried and true path to victory for Alexandre Pantoja?
Absolutely, Derek. Tried and true right there. I'm actually surprised it's not the decision for Alexandre Pantoja isn't smaller or a better odd than the submission right there. That's what I see happening. That control, the passion, everything you're talking about seems to fall in line. The question is those counter strikes of Erceg, and can he mitigate that control with his jiu-jitsu and being able to stand up? We'll see. I'm excited for this fight right here, man.
Here's the big play because we got to give a couple plays to then move on. Over and under. Over is 3.5 rounds, minus 130 for the over. Is that not juice? Are we not smashing that? What do you think?
All day long, absolutely. Right when you said the number, Derek, I nodded instantly. Juice all day long.
That's it. I like the over right here. I think I don't know if Steve Erceg is going to be able to have that hot start to match Pantoja, but if Pantoja starts fading, that's where Steve Erceg gets more dangerous the later the fight goes. More important, if you are a betting man, which obviously we are, welcome to the platform, right? Since you are a betting man, the Alexandre Pantoja is the pick. On the Alexandre Pantoja side, what is the play for the prop available here?
Me, I like that decision, Derek, and at plus 285, that's good money.
And if you're Steve Erceg, what about this decision? Plus 550.
550. I mean, it's not out of the question, especially if Alexandre Pantoja does get a little tired. He's able to wear him down. You're making juice right there if you're a Steve Erceg better.
Yeah, give me Alexandre Pantoja. Give me the plus 285 decision as well. I really, really like that. But if you are a little scared, a little hesitant, you can always go Alexandre Pantoja at just pure minus 190. I mean, I'm not sure you're getting that price tag again here soon. Very fair price to pay. All right, folks, that is your championship bout for UFC 301. Moving on along to the co-main event, Jonathan Martinez, ranked number 12, gets a legend. He gets Jose Aldo, man. This is an honor to fight. But AJ, you take this honor to fight in enemy territory. This is not just enemy territory. If you are uninitiated and you're not familiar with the Brazilian crowd and UFC and MMA in Brazil, let's just say that this is like walking into the enemy's home base while they got all they like AKs and rocket launchers out ready to go, all pointed at you. And by the way, while you're like mid-scrap, they're like chucking bottles at you and shit. Like, that's what this is. But this is the fight at hand. So, Jose Aldo, man, listen, not a pretty situation right here because, again, we talked about it. I'm going to pull up the big screen. 37 years old at 135 pounds. We do not like that number. We do not like that Jose Aldo is returning back from his retirement to do this like go away fight. We don't like it because we love the legend who is Jose Aldo, and that's pure respect. But with all of that being said, and with a quick look at the numbers, were you surprised to see that the open was damn near a pick'em? -115 Martinez, -105 Aldo?
Absolutely, Derek. I was 100% surprised to see that. In fact, I mean, the King of Rio gets a lot of respect. So shout out to the odds makers right here. I mean, I don't know if it's the training I alluded to in the intro, the boxing that he's been going at it. Maybe he said that maybe they're seeing some tapes. Maybe Jose Aldo has rejuvenated and broken that 35 curse, but we'll see, man, because I was very shocked to see this.
My biggest surprise is that if you look at the closing line right here, it hasn't shifted much, AJ. That's what's surprising. Closing line that I'm taking a look at right now, -150 in favor of the Dragon, Jonathan Martinez, +125 comeback for Jose Aldo in Rio. Come on, hometown game right here. You got to give him a little bit of love. But I think there's another reason right here, AJ. I think there is a very clear reason why Jose Aldo has a good chance of being victorious in this fight. Let's look at the last couple of losses on the record. You're looking at Merab Dvalishvili, Piotr Yan, Marlon Moraes, Alexander Volkanovski, Max Holloway. Everybody that I just named on that list, AJ, every single person except Marlon Moraes and Merab were champions on that list. You don't lose to normal folks, right? Jonathan Martinez, on the other hand, he's been on a hot one. A couple decisions here and there, AJ, where I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. Maybe a gift or two, right? But long story short, this was my reasoning. If you watch Jonathan Martinez fight, what do you notice? The primary weapon are the legs, right? And they're dangerous. But that's the primary weapon. Keep you at kick range, kick away. I use my hands a little bit, but then get back out of kick range and, pick away at you, right? Whether it's leg kicks, body kicks, he's going to hurt you. He's dangerous. Legs hurt, right? Jose Aldo, on the other hand, a little more flat-footed, a little more rooted, is not afraid to stand in the pocket, trade, check kicks, do the entire nine, but more important, sit there in punching range and box with you. He has to close the distance, but Jonathan Martinez also has to get away from the physicality of Jose Aldo. And I think Jose Aldo is going to be a bully enough to get away from that flowy kick style that Jonathan Martinez thrives in. Also, he wrestles a little bit. So that's my presenting argument to you, sir. Almost like I'm a lawyer, Your Honor. That's my opening statement right there. What do you have back? How does Jonathan Martinez keep the old dog Jose Aldo off him?
Yeah, no, it's all great points, Derek, especially because we've seen Jose Aldo. And especially myself, I doubted him. I was like, man, we haven't seen the leg kicks. This is like 2 years ago. We haven't seen the leg kicks in so long. This guy can't come back and do it. Next thing we're seeing him just absolutely eat up people's legs, right? Jose Aldo kicking again, man. You'd love to see it. He has all those intangibles to be able to do what you're saying. How Jonathan Martinez gets it done, Derek, is speed. And it's hard to beat Jose Aldo in a speed contest, especially when you're in his turf. You have that allure of Jose Aldo in Rio. This is, you were right. This is the ultimate home ground, and we could see a home team happen right here. But if Jonathan Martinez is able to just stay away, play a smart fight, right? I'm not saying run in the whole time, but stay on your bike, maintain kicking range, and try not to engage in the dogfight that Jose Aldo is going to bring. And I laugh at it because that is going to happen, folks. There is going to be a dogfight on this one, especially for the last fight. You got to give the fans a little bit something right here, but it is an interesting battle to see if the new age has taken over the old ones. But man, it's hard to bet against Jose Aldo, to be completely frank with you, Derek. I just see Jonathan Martinez as being the quicker, younger, more athletic fighter in this fight.
And your take on this fight is my take on a couple other fights we're going to break down. Sometimes you have to roll with youth. It's the reality of the situation, man. Jose Aldo is a legend, and part of the game, unfortunately, folks, transparency alert right here, part of the game is sometimes you've been covering and watching this long enough, you bet on Jose Aldo out of respect, like on some mafia stuff, like out of pure respect for the legend of the game. You say, in Rio, Jose Aldo home game, we got to take a flyer. Just pure value right there. And the value that is when it comes down to any live dog, there's one barking dog on this card. It's Jose Aldo, man. Everybody else, I think it's very fair lines across the board. But with that being said, let's talk a little bit of strategy from these numbers and then keep it pushing. So Jonathan Martinez, best path to victory, according to the odds makers, is going to be a decision at +135. And I actually like that. My question to you is more about the over-under. Over 2.5 rounds, -300. The under is +240. Are you taking that over?
to minus 300 for the over. I mean, if you're looking, well, because it's a 3-round fight. So if you're already looking at that last 2.5 minutes, I like the decision prop better. I'm not taking that minus 300.
You're not taking the minus 300. Yeah,
I mean,
no, fair enough. No, fair enough, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's if you're unconfident on who you think is going to be victorious in this matchup. But I do think if you look at these fighters historically, as of late, decision fighters. Yeah, Jonathan Martinez got a couple leg kick victories, but aside from that, it's been decisions, and that's the reality. Now, is there any concern here? And I don't say that, I say this in a joking way, but I say this kind of seriously at the same time. Are you concerned at all? Decision in Rio for the King of Rio. Are you concerned that the judges are like, oh, I didn't see any of that? Come on. Maybe I wasn't looking when Martinez was landing the big shots. What do you think?
I alluded to it earlier when I said this, we could see a home team happen right here. Usually in MMA, you're fighting in front of your hometown. You get a little nervous. All your friends and family are watching. In Rio, it's another story. We might see some shenanigans, and no disrespect. I mean, hey, it's how the game goes in Rio.
That's how the game goes, brother. All right, so again, this is a battle of a kicker versus a full-fledged mixed martial artist. Jonathan Martinez has come a long way. He is very good, but I just think that this is a different step up in opposition. The smart play through and through is generally roll with the youth, but I am taking a flyer, folks. This side of the screen over here, we're taking a flyer on the King of Rio, Jose Aldo, out of pure value. AJ's rocking with Jonathan Martinez. Take the decision play. That's my favorite right there, plus 200 for Jose Aldo, or take the barking dog at plus 125 across the board. All right, that is your co-main event. Okay, AJ, now we're talking business. Anthony Smith, Lionheart versus Vitor Petrino. Again, right back to the conversation that we just had. This is veteranship versus youth. These are two guys who pretty much do the same exact thing. One guy is just like the next generation. The other guy has been on a little bit of a rough patch in his career, right? Anthony Smith, if you disrespect the man, you're a fool, because this dude is a true vet of the game, like no matter what you say. However, a little chinny as of late, been getting rocked a little bit. You know what I mean? The will of fire, if you will, AJ, has been flickering. Vitor Petrino, though, seems like he's coming up in real fashion, like his time is now. So when you look at that number, I just want to know, what's your impression off these opening odds? Minus 325 for Petrino, plus 260 comeback for Anthony Smith. What's your sentiment to the opening odd?
I mean, when I first saw it, Derek, it makes sense, right? Vitor Petrino, 11-0, really has the momentum going forward, has the odds makers behind him. And like you said, man, Anthony Smith has been on a rough streak, especially, I mean, the last two losses, both by knockout? Or no, it's two of the three losses, both by knockout. But we've seen Anthony Smith get hurt, and I think a lot of that, and maybe I'm wrong, we'll see if Anthony Smith comes out, but when you get a little comfortable, he's got the ESPN show, he's got the announcing, he has things going for him. You get tired of being punched in the face. Maybe that has a little bit to do with where his mindset is and how the fights have been ending, if you will. But nothing lights a fire under you. Like in a fighter, when you got an 11-0 hungry dog barking at you and you're locked in the ring with him. I think Lionheart shows up in this one. The question is, Derek, I mean, we said it before, age. Like how has the years really worn on Anthony Smith? Because if you look at the last couple fights, they haven't worn well.
Well, let's look at a couple things, AJ. Let's bring up the big screen. And first, let's look at the age. 35 years old, 26 years old for Petrino. So 35 for Smith. 2, I just gave you the opening sentiment for the opening odds, right? Minus 650, Vitor Petrino, plus 425 comeback for Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith was asked about this here, AJ. He was asked about that line. And you know what he said? He's like, this dude's like minus 600 something. He's like, I might as well just go to the beach. I might as well not even show up, right? Like the fight's already over, right? Chip on his shoulder. Anthony Smith is like, I don't give a damn about what the odds makers say. But at the same time, he's had a chip on his shoulder for a long time. That doesn't always guarantee a victory. This, to me, before we preface any of the wagers here, folks, this is a stay away, pure. You're not throwing down minus 600 on anybody. I don't care who it is. There's zero value to be had there. The only question that I have from you from a pure value play, not talking about props, is overs right here. 1.5 rounds. And we already know what an inclination is right here. 1.5 rounds, minus 200 for the over, plus 160 for the under. AJ, of course, talk to the people. What's the play?
Yeah, I'm taking that over. I mean, it's hard because not Tyson Page, Vitor Petrino is a finisher right here. He can get it done. Anthony Hart, I mean, you said it, Derek, a chip on your shoulder doesn't always end well, but I see him lasting a little bit longer in this fight if it ends up going any further than that. But I'm taking the over. I like those odds.
The good news is that a lot of finishes on the behalf of Vitor Petrino. Second round, some third round stuff. We got some first round finishes in there as well. But at light heavyweight, bro, anything could happen, man. All it takes is one shot in this game. So all I'm saying here is Vitor Petrino, how does he get the job done? Physicality, doing all the things that Anthony Smith does well. I see Anthony Smith being able to kind of pop off and get off on him on the striking department because Vitor Petrino, very similar to like a Jose Aldo almost, lots of wide shots, not a lot of stuff coming straight down the pipe. Does any fighter in particular hold a power advantage here?
Off the rip, I'm instantly thinking Petrino, but both of them have the crack. I'm not really willing to put it on one or the other.
You haven't really watched Anthony Smith just kind of flatline anybody as of late. It's been a lot of submission stuff. Vitor Petrino, fantastic grappler. So again, rolling with youth right here. If you had to go for a prop on the side of Vitor Petrino, do you like that plus 105 TKO?
Ooh, I do, Derek. I do like that plus 105 TKO. I mean, Smith has been chinny and especially going in a little aggravated, a little bit uncautious. Some magic can happen.
2 TKO losses in his last 10. Or 3, actually. Khalil Roundtree, that one was rough, bro. That one was like, all right, that's totally fair. Let me think of the other ones. We have Magomed Ankalaev, who got the TKO victory, and then finally Glover Teixeira. But that came over, that was the... that was like, hey, bro, I'm sorry, man. While he's just whooping that ass. He's like, huh? What? He's punching him. I'm sorry, bro. He's like, it's all good. It happens. So Anthony Smith is a difficult man to break. We've seen it time and time again. Not sure how much I love that play. I'm a little interested here, AJ, in that plus 240 decision for Vitor Petrino. I'm a little interested right there. Maybe goes for the finish early in Brazil. Anthony Smith is able to hold out. Maybe he says, I don't care. If I lose, I'm not getting knocked out. And we come into some cash money right here. Listen, folks, something to think about right here. But Vitor Petrino is very clearly the play, and this is a stay away. All right. Michel Pereira versus Ihor Potieria. So Potieria did something in his last fight, AJ, that, was probably should have been expected. So his fight was against Robert Bryczek, right? And I bet big on Bryczek because I said, Potieria, he's moving down to middleweight from light heavyweight. Bryczek is, I'm going to smash you or I'm going to get smashed. And I thought that Potieria would be a nail. Little did we know he was the hammer. Bryczek was the nail. But Demolidor, Michel Pereira, this is a hammer. This is a different hammer right here, AJ. This is arguably a light heavyweight in a middleweight's frame who used to fight at welterweight, who is now filled out and giving people his wrath. But the good news is Potieria was a light heavyweight just a couple days ago, right? Or whatever the case may be. So minus 420 was the opening odd for Pereira, plus 310 for Potieria. I think a lot of people are really writing off Potieria here, but there's one thing that he has that Michel Pereira doesn't quite have. Speed. And speed kills, AJ. Where does speed come into this matchup?
Ooh, especially in controlling the first parts of that fight, right? We see Michel Pereira. It's a weird one, man, because I feel like he keeps ebbing and flowing between this super composed, controlled fighter and then still having that chaos that he used to. But when he is in that style of fight, right, he doesn't set up his stuff. He just comes at you with an attack, right? Very athletic. But if Potieria is able to maintain that jab, just snap things out from afar and then set things up, man, I like Potieria the way his fight IQ is, right? He's smooth. He's able to control things. He's able to set up traps. If Potieria can do that in the unorthodox style that Pereira presents, he might have some openings.
If this fight goes long, can he take advantage of a tired Michel Pereira?
Oh, if it goes long, what do you mean?
If it goes long, yeah. If it
goes long for the speed aspect, yeah. No, I mean, if this fight goes long in general, I do think actually Potieria has the best chance to win right here. Like we've seen Pereira, be that, like I said, that more calculated fighter. But when you get in there, he starts mixing it up. He doesn't really maintain the same tempo the entire time. So I like Potieria in that, but it's still a little in not really sold. Derek, how many late round fights has Potieria had?
Well, this last one, Robert Bryczek, where the exact same situation played out, Bryczek got tired, then he was able to put it on him after, and it was a real issue. The reason I say that is because Michel Pereira is a front runner, man. We've seen this, right? He'll get out, he'll do all the athletic stuff, but we saw it at welterweight. He would tire. At middleweight, a little more muscle on you, I imagine it's going to be the same formula. So if he's getting dependent on these first round finishes, which he just got 2 back-to-back, split decision against Santiago Ponzinibbio, who's that's a small guy for the weight class right before that. He's got some decision wins as well. Listen, all I'm saying here is that you have to give some sort of edge for Potieria. There's a winning chance here. He proved us wrong on the last fight. Michel Pereira, though, I do think that skill for skill, he just kind of outclasses Potieria, in my opinion. I mentioned these opening odds, minus 420 right here. Minus 420, 310. Oh, yeah, minus 800. Sorry, that was such an alarming number. I didn't even know where to look. Minus 800 with the plus 475 comeback for Potieria right here. Again, another stay away. TKO prop, don't like it. Minus 120, it's cash. What do you do with the matchup right here? Do you stay away in general? Do you like the overs or anything like that? I will tell you the over is 1.5.
Yeah, I actually like the under, Derek. That's why why I'm putting this one in that parlay is because the rest of it's a stay away for me. I like the is the excuse me, the over?
1.5.
1.5. But what's the numbers on it?
Yeah. Minus 105 for the over, minus 125 for the under.
Yeah, so I like the under for this one, Derek. It's plus money. It's coming in, and if we've seen history play out, obviously last two fights of Pereira have been knockouts. But Ihor Potieria is going to come in, try to somewhat stop that. The athleticism of both these guys, I expect to meet in the middle. I like the under at plus money, even though the over does make somewhat sense long term, if you will.
Smash for Michel Paeta, more or less, right here. Don't need to see a lot of acrobatics. I just think that the power is going to be a little overwhelming. However, the fight goes long. Be wary of the speed of Potieria because he just pieced up Robert Bryczek. It's not the same fighter, but I just think that Potieria is skillful enough that you can't write him off completely. So I'll just say that for the dog that we have there. All right, and to open us up here, AJ, Paul Craig, the Bear Jew, versus Caio Borralho. Listen, man, Paul Craig is looking for his home here at middleweight, right? So you got the fight against Andre Muniz, and you get a win. That's impressive. But then you fight Brendan Allen, and Brendan Allen's all in. And you didn't, listen, it looked rough. You got submitted by Brendan Allen. You're the submission artist. That's really your bread and butter. Well, now you fight a guy in Caio Borralho who, one, is 15-1, right, on a major winning streak. Lots of decisions, lots of lay and praise type stuff, but this is a Brazilian who's saying, I'm going to knock this dude out. I'm going to knock his head off of his shoulders. I'm going to get him on the ground, and I'm going to smash him. Now, given that Paul Craig has been as one-dimensional as he has and that he's going to be fighting a guy who is very skill for skill on his level from a grappling department, like, what is the path to victory for Paul Craig?
Man, if you're Paul Craig, I think you just try and be better at what you're best at than Caio Borralho. Control him. Let that arrogance that we've seen Caio Borralho present at the beginning of the fights, kind of let that flounder a little bit, right? Get on top of him, control him, dominate him, or even if you're underneath. It's a hard fight for Paul Craig because I feel like Borralho does do a lot of the same things well and has more tools in the tool belt. I just don't see Paul Craig in a striking match ever again. Once we saw him throwing those weird punches, I believe it was Jamal Hill or whatever the fight was. I'm forget the name. Regardless, I don't see Paul Craig in that kind of style of fight. So he has to take this to the ground. However, that can happen.
Yeah, but can he pull guard against Caio Borralho?
That's why I said, however, that he can happen, because I don't think that's a smart move. I mean, we've seen that be one of his only moves. I don't think we're going to see any more takedown attempts out of Paul Craig right here. I'd love to see it, but until that happens, until we do, it's just not in the forethought.
Okay, so very clearly, if you're Paul Craig, get the fight to the ground. Preferably, don't pull guard. He's not, he doesn't wrestle, so I don't know how the fight's going to, maybe you get dropped, and then you can, I don't know. Listen. Here's the question that we have here. Caio Borralho, again, this is another stay away, folks. I'm sorry. Caio Borralho went from a minus 185 favorite at open, plus 155 comeback for the Bear Jew Paul Craig. He is now currently sitting at minus 650, plus 425 comeback for Paul Craig. Do you like the TKO prop? Because I do. I really, really like the TKO prop here, right? Plus 210 TKO, Caio Borralho. It's just a touch over his decision. So you're either going one of two ways here. You're going decision or you're going TKO. I don't really think he's going to submit Paul Craig. But then again, Brendan Allen submitted him. So, whatever that means. Do you like the TKO?
I do. Absolutely, Derek. Absolutely. If you're Caio Borralho, you want this fight standing, and anytime you get to the ground, you want to stand back up instantly. Not saying he needs to shy away or he's not good on the ground, but man, you could whoop some ass on the feet right here.
That's funny you say that, because that is not what I was thinking at all. My route to TKO is Paul Craig goes for some leg lock attempt or something like that, and Borralho smashes him, and you know what I mean, just like that. Or vice versa. What if Caio Borralho gets in a bottom position and Paul Craig says, enough of the submission stuff, I'm smashing you, I'm going to throw some elbows at you, whatever the case may be. Either way, I think this is going to be a mix-em-up. I don't think this is going to be the most exciting fight given the two styles of each respective fighter. But I think Caio Borralho is very clearly the play right here. I think the only guy that's going to be able to stop him is a guy that could use his Chuck Liddell style. Use your wrestling to keep the fight standing. and that's not particularly what Paul Craig does well. So either Caio Borralho gets submitted, or this is a smash spot. We roll with the free spirit himself, Caio Borralho. And yeah, stay away from me completely, but I do like the plus 210 TKO victory right there. All right, folks, that is your main card breakdown. UFC 301, Brazil. We headed to the road, baby. Let's go. All right, AJ, but you know, that's not all that we have to conclude here. The next thing that we need to do is incredibly important. This is going to be talking about the unknowns of today, but the stars of tomorrow. Yes, AJ, it is our sleeper section. So without any further ado, let's break it down.
It's time for some fight night.
If you ain't paying attention, you're gonna sleep on me and I'm gonna wake you up.
All right, AJ, we got some interesting sleepers right here. Not going to sit here and lie. Once I saw the picks come across, and I was like, oh, okay, this is who we got here today. I saw mine, of course, and then I saw yours, and I was like, oh, we got some repeat sleepers over here. That means, you know, they're good, folks. That's what that means. So as I'm getting this pulled up right here, apologies. There we go. AJ, given that you have kind of a eclectic... I don't even know the right words to call it. I'm just going to put it up on the big screen, and I'm going to let you take over, brother. The big screen is up. Talk to the people about your sleeper.
This is an interesting one, folks. Like Derick said, very eclectic, man. John Silva versus William Gomez. However, man, he's French, so I'm going to butcher it regardless. But what I like about this fight, man, Silva has 9 fight win streak going, and then Gomez on the other side has a 10-fight win streak going, 16 combined knockouts between them, 0 knockout losses for both of them. These guys have the potential to be stars going forward. We've talked about them before, so this card for me was the sleeper factor, needed to be there to provide some excitement for you. So we might see some flashy KOs, we might see some flashy striking in the beginning, or this one could go to a decision, but I do think we're going to see a very technical fight here regardless. And if you let John Silva get a hold of you, man, this guy is very dangerous, both in the hands, ground game, whatever you want. Both these guys know how to finish fights, and that's what has me excited for it.
This is going to be such a fun fight right here. I just need to see, is John Silva going to start barking at him in mid-fight? We need to know. I need to know this, folks. If you want entertainment, if you want just a spectacle, you're going to tune into this fight. And let's not forget, William Gomez, AJ Gomez, shout out. I'm French, right? So we got to throw a little something in there. Let's just say this dude knows how to win. So, interesting contest on our hands. All right, AJ, now for my sleeper, I have Mauricio Ruffy. Where's this man from? Brazil. Hufi. There we go. Versus Malaki, Jamie Malaki. Let's go. You know, that's the boy right there. Up and down UFC career, but the reason that this is a sleeper, let's just take a very quick look at the last 5. TKO, 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 TKO. And then you lose, and guess what? TKO. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. Jamie Malarkey is game. He's willing to fight anyone, anywhere. That's why the man is in Brazil. That's why the last loss, you got knocked out by Nasrat Haqparast, knocked out by Muhammad Naimov. But when you're winning, you're getting these gritty, rough decisions. So you're saying, oh, you're 9-1. Oh, you're the scary knockout artist. I'm coming to your home turf. I'm rolling up on you, and I'm showing you how we get down, because either I'm gonna get got or you gonna get got, but someone's getting got, and that's why this is a sleeper. So folks, we give you the fantastic unknown stars of tomorrow. I think this dude, one shot, Mauricio Hufi, let's just say star of tomorrow versus the gritty vets, Jamie Malarkey. That's a sleeper. That's your breakdown. I don't know what else you guys want from me. We're moving on to the prelims. All right, AJ, I love to get animated on a good sleeper. It's important. It gets the people going. Let's just leave it at that. All right, but with that being said, we got some work to do, AJ. We got a little bit of time. We're actually really good on time. So let's jump into a couple of prelims, and let's just jump up in that big screen. All right. So, of course, you got the main card right here, but then as we get down to the prelims, we're going to jump all the way down to the bottom. And per usual, AJ, I want you to take a look at what you see here and tell me what you like.
Man, there's a lot of fights on this card I like, Derick. I'm excited to see Ishmael Bonfim versus Vince Pichel. I almost made this a sleeper because I just love seeing Vince Pichel fight anytime. This guy brings the war, and he's going to bring it to Bonfim coming in here. Both, what are they? Both going to be fighting at 155, man. This is not the casual fighters fight. You know what I'm saying? This is one of the ones where you're hardcore. I'm just a Vince Pichel fan, and Ishmael Bonfim can bring the fight. It's going to be a fun one for me.
Let's not forget, if you're looking at Bonfim, you got to get back into the right category right here. And what I mean by that is you look at that last loss, and you can't be mad because of the opposition. Benoit Saint-Denis, you get submitted in the first round, but this was a guy who had just come off of that crazy knee against Terrence McKinney, and all of that momentum What do you know? It got transferred to that guy right there who ended up getting the big opportunities and all that good stuff, and then, ended up getting finished by Dustin Poirier. Vince Pichel, on the other hand, even though he is coming off of that loss, which I bet on him against Mark Madsen. Oh, talk about a letdown. Listen, this dude knows how to win as well. Roosevelt Roberts, A10 Jim Miller, Austin Hubbard, big wins. You got to love it. Last loss prior, Gregor Gillespie. What happened to that guy? Man, I'm waiting for him to come back. One of the best wrestlers in the division. Who knows now? But the point is this, man. You look at the matchup. These are two dudes who are looking to get back on the right track. But Ismael Bonfim, where he opened at is pretty much where he's at right now. He opened at minus 500. He's crept to minus 550. Plus 375 comeback for Vince Pichel. And this is a fight that, come on, bro. He should win. Vince Pichel's 41 years old, brother. I get it. Beast, veteran, all that. Bonfim, given the talent, the resume, the skill set, I think that he should he should finish Pichel in this matchup. And if he does anything other than that, anything remotely controversial, all steam has gone away. So Bonfim bros, what are we thinking?
Oh, absolutely, Derek. You hit the nail on the head, man. And why I like this one is because of that exact aspect. If you're not going to finish Vince Pichel, he's going to be in the fight trying to take your head off. So the moments are going to be there. It's all up to Bonfim to actually hit strike while the iron's hot. We'll see if he can get it done, brother.
That's right. We will see. All right, moving on along. I really like this fight right here. Joaquim Silva versus Drakkar Klose. Now, it's interesting, given that Klose is such a favorite. Silva's a little bit on the older side. I mean, so is Klose, honestly. I think they're like the same age, like 35 or something like that. Both a little bit older for their division here at lightweight, Southpaw versus Orthodox. I really like Klose, man. I think Klose has been on the bad end of just some bad PR and inactivity and all that, which has masked how good of a fighter he actually is. But this dude, Silva, sick jiu-jitsu, knock you out with one shot. I mean, what do you like about the matchup?
This was an interesting one, Derek. I actually like Silva in this fight. I feel like Drakkar Klose has had this kind of a fall off of sorts. He was on a run back in the day, like when he started coming up. But now lately he's kind of met that opposition. And like you said, it could be the other stuff outside of his life that are going on. There could be some things going on in his camp, whatever the case. I do like the power that Silva presents in this fight. And to a fighter like Klose, who has had interesting knockouts in the past, man, that power is always a danger.
Yeah, that's it right there. I will say, if you look at Klose's last fight, right, where it was a submission attempt and he just kind of threw him and slammed him, I was like, man, Silva's going to be attacking that. I don't know if you're going to have that same luck just picking him up and slamming this guy. So we'll definitely see, but that should be a fun matchup right there. I can't talk about this matchup enough. Mike DeBeck, I should have said it earlier. It's still a difficult name to pronounce, but Mike DeBeck, Oral Bai, and Elvis Brenner. AJ, I was really high on this guy. If you remember when we did our awards show, this guy was in my awards right here. This was the unsung hero out of the Shoot the Box camp that I felt nobody was talking about. He's on a run right now. And the only problem that we have right here is that this is a junkyard dog fighting another junkyard dog. And the biggest X factor that has made me not confident on the live juice that is plus 205 on Elvis Brenner right here is the fact that the Shoot the Box camp as a whole, we've kind of seen has been a little too willing to accept bottom position in grappling events. Oral Bai is the last guy you want to accept a bottom position against. So how do you see the matchup playing out? Do you like the juice that is plus 205 for Elvis Brenner?
I do like the juice, Derek, and what I'm hoping for, and I'm pretty sure, man, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought it was an under 2.5 rounds for the prop I was talking about before for the prop lock, but that's why I like this one, because Elvis Brenner is going to have to come out and go against what you're talking about with that shoot the box style. If he's able to go out and go old shoot the box style, right? Beat him up, hold him down, beat him up continuously, contain that pressure. That's where I think Elvis Brenner is going to have his best shot of winning this fight, getting it done early, and really being that dominant beast in Rio, because you do not, like you said, you do not want Oral Bai controlling top position.
And tell me again, I agree with you, but tell me again, you said the over, which fight were you talking about? For this one, for Brenner and Oral Bai?
This one, I thought it was a 2.5 round over under.
Yeah. Did I say 1.5? Did we say 1.5 somewhere?
1.5 in the beginning, but it was all I'm saying. Why I like this fight is for that quick speed in the beginning of how each round starts. Elvis Brenner needs to control that moment, be fast in that one, and if he can do that, he's gonna find a path to success. Unless Oral Bai just controls him the entire time, then we do end up going with that over prop.
Well, you were correct, sir. I'm taking a look at it right now, and it's 2.5 rounds, minus 135 for the over, plus 105 for the under. So. Good correction, and we'll fix that if you're this far into the show. Who knows? All right, we're already too deep. It's fine. All right, folks. Yeah, with that being said, all right, that's going to be a fun one right there. I think it's going to be just a fantastic fight through and through. Already talked a little bit in my prop about this fight, Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Jasmine Lucindo, and this is the reality of the situation, man. People think that she's going to get waxed, Kowalkiewicz. I think that there is a high possibility that that is absolutely true. Though we did say that she needed to retire when she lost 5 in a row, and then she came back on a fantastic force right there. I think she's going to make it tough enough to go over 2.5 rounds right there, which should be, easy enough to do. Lucindo's a finisher. But this is my question right here, man. How much longer do we see Kowalkiewicz? Keep it up, man. She's getting up there, 38 years old in the women's strawweight division.
38 years old, Derek. What I'm saying is 2 bad losses, right? We keep having we keep having where you're not really getting hurt. We might see a couple more, but if you get steamrolled by Jasmine Lucindo and then steamrolled by another fighter, we're hoping we see it. I'm never hoping for to see the retirement of a fighter, but for the safety of a fighter, that's what you're looking to see.
Fair play. And then finally, this fight, Jack Shore, Joe Anderson Brito. AJ, all I'm going to say about this matchup is I like plus 140 Jack Shore. I like that. I, at one point, thought Joe Anderson Brito was an unstoppable force that just couldn't lose. But we've seen it. He can lose. So do you think Jack Shore can come up here?
It's up there, Derek. I actually like Joe Anderson Brito in this one. You're right, though. We have seen him go from that immovable object to the one getting kind of pushed around a little bit. And if Jack Shore can do that, man, I'm going to be very impressed. I like Joe Anderson Brito. I think he can get this fight done in a couple different ways. Yep. But, man, this is going to be a fight. This is going to be one of those ones that's very telling of how the careers of both of these guys are going to go.
Let me rephrase. I like the juice on Jack Shore. I think Joe Anderson Brito is going to win, but I like Jack Shore's his dog capacities right there. Yeah, I love me some Joe Anderson Brito, but Jack Shore is a guy you don't want to particularly discount. Not like that. But with that being said, folks, that is your prelim pour over right there. We made it to the end of another program. This is episode 284. AJ, just like that, we're closely approaching episode 300. You gotta love it. That just means we've been doing it for a long time. But there's one thing that we've been doing more than that. We just provide value. That's the name of the game right there. So, AJ, as always, take us out of here, my friend.
Value, folks. What more do you want? Put money in your pocket. We got odds, breakdowns, accountability, everything out there. And I'm challenging you, folks. Go out. Check out any other platform out there. Guarantee they're not telling you all the bets they post. They're not telling you all the wins, the losses, all the stats right here. You want numbers? Numbers are what drive the world, and when numbers are going in your pocket, I know you're going to be happy. So when you go back, you do that research, you come back and look and see that we have the best record right here. Make sure you tell your friends, make sure you subscribe, because we're going to be winning you money consistently, folks.
Tell a friend to tell a friend. Simple as that. It's your favorite fighter's favorite fight show. That's it for us. Catch us on Monday for the UFC 301 post show. And until next time, folks, peace.